Hey, this is Jordan from Zero to Hero Muscle, and in today's new secret training video, you're going to learn my very simple muscle building method for how to transform your tiny shoulders into massive boulders. Now this lesson is taken directly from my upcoming training course, Zero to Hero, the muscle building blueprint for skinny guys. So if you haven't signed up for my priority wait list, make sure you click the link on your screen and add yourself to my email list before we run out of spaces. It only takes a few seconds. Now get ready to learn and enjoy this exclusive free training video. Besides his calves, forearms, and ego, there isn't anything much harder to enlarge for a man than his deltoids, his shoulders. Now, why is this? It's because, just like your ego, your calves, forearms, and especially your shoulders are constantly being stimulated by highly repetitive routine tasks. This constant and repetitive overstimulation to these muscles has created a somewhat non-responsive reaction to exercise, making it extremely hard to grow these specific muscles through training. For example, just think of how much you actually use these muscles every single day. You use your calves every morning you get out of bed, every night you get into bed, and they power you every time you stand up, sit down, and walk around anytime in between. Your forearms are a workhorse of their own, responsible for every finger, hand, wrist, and elbow movement you make throughout the day. You stimulate your forearms when you brush your teeth, open a door, change the channel with your remote, text your girlfriend, jot down a grocery list, slice an apple, search my YouTube channel. Most of your daily tasks require you to work your forearms to some extent. Likewise, your shoulders take on the same type of monstrous workload. Your deltoids are stimulated every time you move your arms, especially when you're reaching at shoulder height or higher overhead. Think of how many times you reach for things on high shelves throughout the day, getting plates or mugs out of your cabinets, putting your laundry in the wash, hanging your clothes up, adjusting your shower head, shampooing your hair, flicking light switches on and off, opening and closing windows. These are just a few examples of the dozens and dozens of motions that are forcing you to work your shoulders all day long. So really, it shouldn't come as any surprise that the muscles being stimulated this often are the hardest to grow through exercise, especially when you consider the fact that in addition to all this repetitive stimulation, most guys add even more of the same repetitive motion into their exercise routine, just digging themselves into an even deeper hole. Because what do most guys do when they try to get bigger shoulders? They do too many push motion exercises like standing military presses, seated shoulder presses, Arnold presses, Y presses, any presses really, and they go way too heavy. Two of the biggest mistakes you could possibly make when trying to grow your shoulders. Why are these two things so bad? Well, for one, by focusing solely on push exercises and pressing movements, you're really only targeting the front head of your shoulders, the same delt head that is already being stimulated during all of your other push motion exercises like bench presses, dips, skull crushers, push downs, and so on and so forth. By oversaturating your training with even more push motion exercises for your shoulders, you are overstimulating the front head of your delts. Your shoulder is made up of three heads: the anterior delt, the lateral delt, and the posterior delt, or the front, side, and rear shoulders. So if you expect to build yourself a pair of big, round shoulders, do you think the best way to do that is just by repeatedly hitting and training the same front head over and over without working the other two? No, that's going to cause an imbalance in your physique by pulling your shoulders forward, compromising your posture and your skeletal structure. It's going to create a ton of problems you don't want to deal with. And you most definitely are not gonna wanna go super heavy on your shoulder training either, or any of your muscle training for that matter, because by going too heavy, you compromise your form and your ability to fully direct the tension and stress on the muscles that you are supposed to be targeting. I see guys in the gym do it all the time during their shoulder work. They go too heavy and they start bunny hopping and using momentum to swing the weights around instead of actually getting their shoulders to do the work. That's why most guys have pitiful and pathetic shoulders. Pitiful and pathetic physiques in general, really. Most guys are flat out just training completely wrong. As I've said millions of times before, it's not about how much you lift, it's about how you lift. So in order for you to avoid the pitiful and pathetic physiques that most guys plague themselves with, here is exactly what you need to do to build yourself some boulder shoulders. As I've already said, drop the oversaturation of pressing movements, drop the weight, and drop your ego. Instead of focusing on just the front head of your shoulders, focus on the front head, the side head, and the rear head. Focus on all three. You're never gonna have well-rounded shoulders without a well-rounded training program to build them. So here's the perfect triple threat approach to hit all three heads of your delts. For the front head, shoulder presses. For the side head, lateral raises. For the rear head, rear lateral raises and face pulls. Just as I outlined in the full hero workout of the Zero to Hero blueprint, you want to do 3 sets for each exercise and aim for 6 to 12 reps to failure for each of those sets. Doubling the work on your rear heads compared to your front heads will help compensate for all the other pressing movements that your front heads are involved in to avoid that forward rounded, hunched over posture I mentioned. And fully isolating your side head during lateral raises is really what's going to fully round out your shoulders from front to back and bring the whole look together all around. No need to get overly fancy smancy or use overly heavy ass weight. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and you will easily grow your shoulders from teeny pebbles into giant boulders.
I hope you enjoyed this exclusive lesson taken directly from my upcoming training course, Zero to Hero, the Muscle Building Blueprint for Skinny Guys. Again, if you haven't signed up for my priority waitlist, make sure you click the link on your screen and add yourself to my email list right now before we run out of spaces. It literally takes just a few seconds. So do that right now, and I will see you in the next training video.